let's start. We have done logics. Uh, four topics, four lectures on logics are already done. So let's move on to last lecture for this module 5, which is Introduction to Proofs. So in this mathematical proofs, we will study forms of theorems, direct proof, indirect proof, proof of contrapositive, and proof by contradiction. Let's see what this is. Now, proof is a valid argument that establishes the truth of the statement. Okay, we all know what a proof is. Now, proof has many practical applications like verification that computer programs are correct, establishing that operating system is secure, and so on. Now, theorem is a statement that can be shown to be true by using definitions, other theorems, axioms. Axioms are the statements which are true, and rules of inference and lemma. Now, we are discussing several definitions. So, first, a theorem, which is a statement that we have to prove that can be proved to be true. Second is lemma. Lemma is helping theorem, which helps a theorem to in getting it proved. Okay. Next is corollary. So it is a result which follows directly from the theorem. So from theorem, if you conclude to something, so that is your corollary. Next is conjecture. Conjecture is what you have proposed, like it can be true. Okay, so conjecture is a statement that is being proposed to be true, and once a proof of conjecture is found, it becomes a theorem. So if you can prove a conjecture, then it becomes a theorem. Okay, it can also be false, it can also be true. If it is true, then it becomes a theorem. Okay, so there are many forms of theorems. Often, universal quantifier is omitted by standard mathematical convention. For example, in this statement, if x greater than y, where x and y are positive real numbers, then x square will always be greater than y square. Now, in this statement, for all is missing, but because we are saying that x and y are positive real numbers, so this statement is true for all the positive real numbers, but we have not mentioned for all, right? What is for all? We have seen it is a universal quantifier. So we actually this statement actually means that for all positive real numbers x and y, if p, then q. Now p is x greater than y, and q is x square greater than y square. So you need to apply for all x px and qy. Okay, so this is how we represent it in uh, statement format. Now, next is proving theorems. Many theorems have the form for all x, px implies qx. So previous example can be written as like this: for all x, because for all was not implicitly mentioned in the statement, but it was true for every real number for every x. So that is why you can apply for all x. Now, to prove the theorem, we show that how you are going to prove a theorem. So first thing you need to show is this px implies qx is true for some constant c. Okay, if this is true for some constant, now you know that it is true for all x. So that means from the universal generalization, the truth of the original formula follows. That means this is true for all constants. If it is true for one constant, and you are saying that it is true by universal generalization, you can show that it is true for every constant, right? So you have to prove something of the form p implies q. Okay, for a single constant. Okay, now example is given, definition is given: the integer n is odd even if there exists an integer k such that n is equals to 2k, and n is odd if there exists an integer k such that n is equals to 2k plus 1. So this definition is given to you when an integer is even and when an integer is odd. Okay, so when a number is even or odd, so if it is even, it is equal to 2k. If it is odd, it is equal to 2k plus 1. This is given to you. Now this is a basic fact. You need it to prove your next statement. Now next statement is given to you. Assume that P is true. Use rules of inference, axioms, and logical equivalences to show that Q must also be true. Now, question given to you is, if n is odd integer, then you have to prove that n square is also odd. Now, you have to prove this using the information that you have in the previous slide. So, information what we have is, if it is even number, n is equals to 2k. If it is odd number, n is equals to 2k plus 1. We have seen definition in the previous slide. Now here we have to prove that if n is odd, then n square will also be odd. Now assume that let's assume that P is true. Uh, this is called direct proof. And there are two types of proof. First is direct, second is indirect. So indirect proof are also of two types. We will see contradiction and contrapositive. We will see what they are. So directly, you can prove that let P is true, and you will go to from P to Q. You will reach to Q, and you say, see, we have proven that Q is also true. We had assumed that P was true, and now we will say that Q will also be true. Okay, so let us assume that first statement, if n is odd integer, is true. That is P is true. Okay, so if this is true, if n is odd integer, by definition from the previous slide, we can say that n is equals to 2k plus 1, because all odd integers can be represented like this. Okay, now if you square both sides, you will get n square is equals to 2k plus 1 whole square. And if you solve this, you will find this is equals to 2k square plus 2k plus 1 equals to, if you assume this whole as r, because this is also some integer r, if let us assume 2k square plus 2k is equals to r, some integer, so this whole n square can be represented as 2r plus 1. Now hence this is also, hence n square is also an integer. Okay, so this means Q is also true. So we had assumed that P was true, n is equals to 2k plus 1. Now we have represented n square also in terms of 2k plus 1, 2r plus 1. Okay, so we can say that we have reached to our Q, and we can say that if let P was true, now we have reached to Q, and Q is also true. This means we have proved that, and if n is odd integer, then n square is also an odd integer. So this is clear to everyone. It's quite easy, right? If you have any doubt, you can ask. Another question example is given to you. You have to prove that sum of two rational numbers is rational. Now, you have to prove that sum of two rational numbers is rational. Now, definition that is available to you is, the real number r is rational if there exists. What is a rational number? Where r should be represented as p by q, and q should not be equal to 0. That is a rational number, right? Now you have to prove that sum of two rational numbers is rational. Now let there are two rational numbers r and s, and you want to add them, and you want to say that it is also rational. Now because r is a rational and s is also a rational number, so r is equals to p by q. It can be represented as p by q, and s can also be represented as t by u. If you add them, you find something pu plus qt upon qu, which is, if you assume that upper part is also equal to v and lower part is equal to w, so r plus s is also represented by v by w. That is, it is also represented in the form of r, that is p by q, right? So sum, that this means that sum is also a rational number. Now also w will not be equal to 0, because q was not equal to 0 and u was not equal to 0. Okay. uh, okay, now a proof. Now there are two methods of, as I've already told you, indirect methods of proving. So indirect method, first is contraposition. So what is contrapositive? So if p implies q, that means not q implies not p, that is contrapositive, right? So if p implies q is given to you, you have to prove that, if let, you have to assume that let not q is true,
and you have to reach to not p, and you have to say that because not q was true, this means that not p is also true, and this means that p implies q is true. This is your way. Now question is given to you, if n is integer and 3n plus 2 is odd, you have to prove that n is odd. Now this is p, 3n plus 2 is odd, q is n is odd. Now p, you have to prove that uh, this whole is p, sorry, n is integer and 3n plus 2 is odd is p, and q is n is odd. So in contrapositive, p is given, q is given, you will start from not q. Not q is n is not odd, which is n is even. So assume that n is even. Okay. Now if n is even, so n is equals to 2k, and if n is equals to 2k, so that means 3n plus 2 is equals to 3 into 2k plus 2, and if you solve it, 3n plus 2 is also represented in terms of 2 into something. This means that 3n plus 2 is also even. Now not q was true, not p is also true. So this means not q was true and not p is also true. Not p is, p was 3n plus 2 is odd. Not p is 3n plus 2 is not odd. That means 3n plus 2 is even, right? So you have proved that because you have assumed that not q was true, and now you have proved that not p is true. So therefore you have shown that not q implies not p is true. Now if this is true, this means that p implies q must hold as well. Now this is clear to everyone. Proof by contraposition. किसी को कोई डाउट है इसमें? ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स, you are getting all this? समझ में आ रहा है ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स?
Yes, ma'am.
ओके, व्हाट अबाउट रेस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स?
Yes, ma'am.
आ रहा है ना? ठीक है, ओके। कहीं पे कोई डाउट हो तो यू कैन स्टॉप मी एंड आस्क, ठीक है? इसी तरह कॉन्ट्रापोजिशन से हम एक और एग्जांपल देख लेते हैं। तो कॉन्ट्रापोजिशन से कैसे प्रूव करेंगे? गिवन इज इफ n square is odd, and then you have to prove that n is odd. So p is n square is odd, p implies q is given to you. You have to prove p implies q using contraposition. Now p is n square is odd, q is n is odd. Okay, so you will assume that n is not odd in case of contraposition. So not so assume that n is even, and if you solve it, you can show that not p, n square is also not odd. That means n square is also even, and if not p implies not q was true, this means that p implies q is also true. Okay. Similarly, proof by contradiction. So now because we have seen contrapositive, so another direct method. So there is one direct method and two indirect methods. So indirect method, first indirect method was proof by contraposition, and second was proof by contradiction. Contradiction says that assume that not p is you have to prove p, assume not p and derive a contradiction such that p and not p. Okay, so let's see how this you can do this. The question given to you is proof by contradiction that root 2 is irrational. Now assume that not p is true, and in the last you will say that we have assumed wrongly, and this is not original statement was not true. That means root 2 is irrational. Okay, so you have assumed not p is true. That is root 2 is rational. Root 2 is not irrational. Okay, so you have assumed that root 2 is rational, and in the last you will say that we have assumed wrongly and root 2 is irrational. Okay, now because root 2 is rational, that means there exists some integer a by b, because for rational numbers, every number is represented in the form of a by b, and b should not be equal to 0. Now if this is true, that means you square on both sides. 2 is equals to a square by b square. This means a is even. Why? Because a square is equals to 2 into b square. So a square would be even. This means a is even, right? This statement means a is even. 2b square equal to a square means a is even. Now, because a is even, so you can represent it in the form of 2b, 2c, sorry, some constant, right? So you can also represent it as 2b square is equals to 4c square, right? Now this means that if you cancel out 2 from both sides, b square is equals to 2c square you will get. This means b is also even. Now a was even, b was even, so 2 is common in between, right? You can cancel out 2, but we have assumed initially that root 2 is equals to a by b in the form of a by b. You can write it, and there are no common factors, but right now you have common factor as 2, right? And which contradicts our assumption that a and b have no common factors. So thus our assumption was wrong. Root 2 is not rational. This means that root 2 is irrational. This is clear to everyone. Okay. Similarly, using by conditional statement, you can prove. Okay, so that's all in the module 5. Module 5 is completed. Let's start with module 6 also today, and we will finish. We will try and finish module 6 by tomorrow itself. Okay. Okay, so this is module 6, counting and combinatorics. This is very interesting module. You must have studied about probability in your 12th plus 2 classes. Okay, so let's see. It's a very interesting module. Let's start with basic counting principles. So first of all, uh, example is given to you. Count the number of ways to put things together into various combinations. If your password is 6, 7 or 8 character long, a character is an uppercase letter or a digit, and password is required to include at least one digit. How many password would be there? So to solve such kind of questions, for example, how many passwords for the following combination of characters? How many nodes for the how many graphs for the given n number of nodes would be possible? So this kind of solutions you can find out using few rules that are given to you in combinatorics. First is sum rule and second is product rule. Let's see what these are. So first is sum rule. Now let's consider two tasks. M is the number of ways to do task 1 and n is the number of ways to do task 2. So tasks are independent of each other. Performing task 1 does not accomplish task 2 and vice versa. So if so some rule says that if the number of ways that either task 1 or task 2 can be done but not both is m plus n. Okay, so if you are given two tasks and either of them should be performed, then you will add. Okay, add those tasks. For example, question is given to you. A student can choose a computer project from one of the three lists. So the three list contains 23, 15 and 19 possible projects respectively. How many possible projects are there to choose from? So I have three choices. I can choose either one from one list. I can choose either from second list or I can choose from third list. So I have three possible combinations, right? So 23 plus 15 plus 19. So how many possible combinations I can have, possibilities that I can choose, right? 23 plus 15 plus 19. Clear? Similarly, how many strings of 4 decimal digits have exactly 3 digits that are 9? Now, uh, 4 decimal digits are there. Okay. Okay. So this is first, second, third, and fourth. So this is 4-digit number. Now, 4 decimal, how many strings of 4 digits have exactly 3 digits as 9? So 3 digits would be 9 and 4th digit would be non 9. So non 9, how many possibilities are there? 9 possibilities are there, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 0 to 8. So 9 possible combinations that I can have. Except, so non 9 would be 9 possibilities. So for first position, Suppose this was 9, this was 9, and yeah, someone is saying something. Okay, only one place can vary. Remaining 3 would be 9. Okay, now this can have 0, this can have 1, this can have 2. Okay, this can have up to 9. Sorry, 8. So 9 possible combinations are there because this is fixed. So 9 possible combinations in the total are there. Now second, what is the second choice? Second is, this is 9. Second possible option is, first position is 9. Second you can vary. Third is 9 and fourth is 9. Right. So this position can be 0 to 8. So how many possible choices? You have 8 possible choices. Similarly for 9 possible choices, right? Now similarly 9 for this place and 9 for this place. So total would be 36, right? So some rule says that 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 possibilities for strings of 4 decimal digit containing exactly 3 digits as 9. Okay. Now in the form of sets, we already do that like this or this. So we will do A plus B. A union B is equals to A plus B. If sets are disjoint, it would be A plus B. Right? Okay. Now product rule. So sum rule was clear to everyone. Any doubt? Any doubts in sum rule? Okay, let's move on to product rule. Product rule says that if there are two tasks and m is a number of ways to do task 1 and n is a number of ways to do task 2, and the tasks are independent of each other, performing task 1 does not accomplish task 2 and vice versa. So how many number of ways? So total number of ways that both task 1 and task 2 can be done is m into n. So m possible choices for first task and n possible choices for second task. So in case of or, you will use sum rule. In case of and, you will use product rule. Okay, let's see. So there are 13 ECA majors and 325 CS majors. How many ways are there to pick one ECA major and one CS major? So you have to pick this as well as this. Now in the previous example, either you have to pick this or you have to pick that. So in case of multiplication, you will multiply. Okay. Now similarly, you can proceed for other examples as well. Now product rule. So you have to calculate how many functions are there from set A to set B. Now you are able to get this. So first of all, what do we call, when do we call it a function? So every element should have only one image. Okay, right? That is called a function. And each and every element should be having an image, and all the elements should have can have any image. Okay, and doesn't matter which one, but all the elements should have only one image. Okay, now first element should have four possible options. It can select this as its image, this or this, right? Second has four possible options. Third has four possible options. So total number of possible options for this to be a function would be 4 into 4 into 4, that is 64, right? Now suppose it's a boolean function. So in case of boolean function, so this would be 0 comma 1. This number would be either 0 or 1. Okay, so how many choices? So for n variables, this is 0 or 1. Okay, 2 to the power 0. Boolean means 2, either 0 or 1. Okay, so how many ways each choice can be made? So that is 4 to the power 3. So if 4 possible combinations out of 3, this 3 tuple, right? For 3 element in the domain. Now if I talk about 1 to 1, what is the possibility? Now first element has, if suppose first element has selected this, second element cannot select this, right? So it can either select this, or it can select this, or it can select this, right? So it will be remain with three possible choices, right? This is called a 1-1 function, right? So first has four possibilities, second has three possible options, third element would be remaining with any two possible options. So total would be 24. So how many choices, how many number of ways this choice can be made? That would be 4 into 3 into 2. Now you can 4 into 3 into 2 because it was smaller. So if you need to represent it this using permutations and combinations, you will use, because right now a was 3, cardinality of a was 3. Now if cardinality of a would be 4, so what would be the answer? So you will use permutations, that is for r permutations, and the answer would be 3 unique choices out of 4 objects. So answer would be 4 factorial by 4 into 3 factorial. So out of 4 possible choices, so 4 possible choices, you are having 4 minus 3. So for you are selecting for 3, so n factorial by n minus r factorial. Okay, so this would be your answer. So how many 1-1 functions are there from set A to set B? So if set A has how many elements? If set B has n elements and set A has r elements, so that would be n factorial by n minus r factorial, right? So this is total number of possible choices. Okay, so product rule example, how many strings of 4 decimal digits do not contain same digit twice? How many possibilities? So you have to tell me this. 4 decimal digits. So what are the, so how many possibilities for first digits? How many possibility? Anyone? The question is how many possibility for first decimal digit? What are the values in the first place that can occur? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and up to. So online students, everybody is sleeping. You have to tell me answer of this. Okay, should I call out names? Hmm?
Ma'am, 5040.
5040 is the answer. Okay, I don't know what's the answer.
No. Ma'am, I'm asking, I'm not telling.
No. I'm asking ki, for the first position, how many possible combinations? 10, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes,
5.
ma'am, 10987.
Yeah, exactly. So 10, 9. First digit would be having 10 possibility, then 9, then 8, and then 7. Good. So 5040 correct. Okay. Next is how many strings of 4 decimal digits that end with even digit. Now iska answer. One, two, three, four. Now how many possibilities for last digit? 0, 2, 4,
Ma'am, 5.
5. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And what about this and this and this?
Ma'am, 10, 10, 10. No,
10,
ma'am,
10, 10.
10.
9 and
Ma'am, 9, 9, 10, 10.
10 into 10 into 10 into 5.
How many strings
Ma'am,
of 4?
ma'am, first should be 9. Ma'am, 0 can't be
I'm
written.
9.
But they are not asking number, they are asking string. Okay, string के केस में
Okay, ma'am.
this would be 10. ठीक है, अगर क्वेश्चन में नंबर होता तो फिर यहाँ पे 9 हो जाता क्योंकि 0 नहीं आएगा.
Yes,
ठीक है, तो स्ट्रिंग्स में 10, 10, 5, 10, 10, 10 and 5. This
5.
is the answer.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So if in terms of set, so this would be A into B. Okay, A cross B. Now combining product rule and sum rule. So we will start from this tomorrow. हम कैसे sum rule और product rule को combine कर सकते हैं. We will see this tomorrow. Let's end this session here itself. I'll call out names for attendance. कल ही आपका module hopefully finished हो जाएगा.